It's on.
Huh?
I just turned it on.
Okay, and this one's on too?
Yeah, it's about to.
Okay. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. There's a hadith, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, make use of 5 before the other 5. Oh, I just have to click it on here. Just be patient, dear people. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, make use of 5 before the other 5 prevent you. Make use of your health before becoming sick. Make use of your youth before becoming old. Make use of your wealth before becoming poor. Make use of your time before becoming occupied. And make use of your life before your death. So somebody had asked me a question, and I have this hadith in Arabic and everything for the last almost 40 years, a favorite hadith. But, and I have probably 8 or 9 copies, but the thing about it is when you got folders stacked up the side all the way down the street, every time you're looking for something, it takes you a while to find it. Then, as soon as you get back, there it is, almost sitting on top of the desk somewhere. Anyway, right in front of you. So I just had to remember these. So today's subject is mainly, it's all these subjects, but make use of your health before becoming sick. So today's subject is physical fitness, it's health. There's many beautiful articles that I have. This is one of the very good ones. 25 most significant health benefits of physical activity and exercise. Now, all of these, forget about what we know, but because you have to have, remember, if you don't get it from white folks. This is the Mayo Clinic. Now, this is the Mayo Clinic. Exercise, 7 benefits of regular physical fitness by Mayo Clinic staff. There's another one. Resilience, builds skills to endure hardship. Resilience builds skills to endure hardships. And there's a little article about what it improves. That's what we'll talk about today. Some of the first hard facts come from this article. It's a really nice, detailed article about the problems that Americans have with activity and physical fitness and what have you. And so, the first thing it talks about cardiovascular disease, and it's saying that there's a 50% reduction in cardiovascular disease with regular exercise. A 50% reduction. That's a big deal. Now that's just one thing. That's the cardiovascular, that's the heart, cardio, and vascular, the vein and system and what have you. But that's a great system because if your lungs and your heart and your arteries are all clean, physical fitness helps the cardiovascular system. If you do, technically you're going to find that if you do 3 or 30 minutes a day to 60 minutes a day of physical fitness. Now that's not very long, but it reduces obesity, strengthens your musculoskeletal system, your muscles, skeleton, da, 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 da. Help reduce stress. You know, like if you're under a lot of pressure. I had a big discussion about this in prison. One of my friends, he was a Christian Arab, he was a hypnotherapist, a licensed hypnotherapist. And I taught him how to lift weights and everything. He and another guy we call Solar Sam from Oregon. Solar Sam Gordon, I have the tapes now about photovoltaic cells. Solar Sam is one of these guys that built homes so good that you wouldn't have to mess with all this high-powered stuff. So you know how they did. It's like the guy that invented the carburetor in 1950 that would get 100 miles a gallon. You ain't seen or heard from him. I don't know whether they killed him, but he definitely wasn't good for nobody. The oil company, can you imagine? Them big old cars in them days, they was just getting into them big V8s, 4-valve carburetors. You know, they was just by 1952, 53, shoot, them Oldsmobiles and Cadillacs had a 4-valve carburetor, V8 engine. Man, I don't know how many gallons you got, but you had to stop at every gas station. And here's a guy gonna come with 100 miles an hour, 100-mile carburetor. He disappeared. Solar Sam was in the pen with me. There was a lot of good people in jail. There was a lot of priests. No, the priests, remember those days, the white folks that went and knocked on they took a hammer and they would go and knock on those atomic bomb things. And all the Catholic priests that was going to prison. Well, I happened to be, the whole West Coast crew was in prison with me. So they were, I studied with like Solar Sam, taught me about, for the next, now that was 35 years ago. At that time, I was the biggest Negro in solar energy because we had classes. Here's what these two guys, I ain't gonna call it, the Palestinian guy and Solar Sam, we were all friends. Now, the Palestinian guy, I taught him physical fitness, and he taught me hypnotherapy. We shared everything, those speeches, all that. So, he'd never been in shape, you know. He was he was really a Christian Arab. I mean, I think his case was one of them $30 million cases. He wasn't like the regular, the day-to-day Arab, you know. He was cultured, and he'd show me his all girlfriends was all models and everything. They model underwear, and he showed me their picture and everything. So he was an in-crowd guy. He wasn't, you know what I mean, a bomb-throwing Arab and nothing like that. So the best sales tapes that I like now, they gave me sales tapes, and they asked me questions, and they helped a lot, because I'm coming out to do work fi sabilillah. And everybody that's in prison, I give you an example, on Tuesday night, like we have a class here, we had one there too. All the bankers and all those people, I would invite them to speak to the Negro. And so Diamond was saying, what's happening with all? I said, well, let me think about it. When we're in here, we're all homeboys. I said, you think they're gonna talk to us when they get out of here? We're niggas, by the way. These are bank presidents. I said, so-and-so that talked about trust and all of that last week. I said, remember this case? Yeah, he stole $2 million. I said, $2 million, and he got 6 months or a year or something like that. And Johnny Boy robbed the bank, and he was inside for, I don't know how long now. He coming out here and going home after 10, 20 years or something. Yeah, he had a 20-year sentence, and he did a third. 8 years or something, he going home. And the white man So we could see the clear distinction between what they call white-collar crime and us. And my biggest class was, after 4 o'clock count, we'd sit cross-legged. I had all the white folks, the big white folks. You think I was a guru. Boy, that's nice. You know, guess what I was teaching them? How to do time. It's a secret. How did I figure that out? I was with one of them one day, and everybody was on the iron pile talking trash and da-da-da-da-da. And he said, man, how do they do that? So he said, those guys, all of them came from behind the wall. You know, you do so much time behind the wall, and you come out to camp. We was in the camp, and all of us come from behind the wall. I said, well, I don't want nobody to come except y'all, of course. You come straight to the, you know, the feds call them, just like you see on TV. They don't go arrest all these guys moving, chasing after them. They don't kick their doors in. They ain't kick none of that. They give them up there and say, well, you want to come down and testify, such and such and such.
Paul Manafort was on house arrest.
Yeah. But he ain't went into jail though.
Right, that's what I'm saying, he's on house arrest.
Yeah, he ain't booked, got his all. They might ask him sooner or later.
In America.
Huh?
I didn't even know they did house arrest in America.
Yeah, white folks? Shoot.
They just, house arrest mean he could go to his house, his mama's house, and something like that. But he just can't leave the country. But anyway, the idea was, while I was in prison, I studied under everybody. Another one of my best friends was an archaeologist. He was down there, he was in there, he was a Jew, stealing archaeology treasures and all of that. Hey man, we would be talking, and he would say, these young Jews said, oh no, you like Jews better than they do. I said, yes, I love Jews. You know, anyway, I'm telling you the truth. So I learned about archaeology. You know, who was that guy? Remember what's his name? Harrison Ford and Tomb, all that stuff. This is what that guy did. He was in the federal prison that's what he was there for. All kind of archaeological thieving and conniving.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, yeah. His main, he's all over the world, but this one was for Central America. That's Maya and Aztec stuff, you know. And anyway, our point was this, is knowledge. To our original question on tension, hypertension, reducing stress, I would take the white folks, and I would say, the old ones, I'd just say, just walk every day, da-da-da-da-da. But the other brothers, like my best friend that was teaching the hypnotherapy, we hung out all the time. We lift weights and walked together, you know. I ran with the other white boys. We actually ran out to camp, you know, we had marathons. I went to marathons, you know, if you was just a good nigga, and then, you know what I mean, they'd let us go to marathons. We'd have a staff to support us, and every weekend we could take a 15-mile run all over the neighborhood. Yeah, good. But anyway, here's the point. All of them would be stressed and tensed out. So, hypnotherapist's idea, well, to stop smoking and da-da-da-da-da, relieve stress. His thing is hypnotherapy. So I said, there's other ways. So I had him hit the bag. I said, now how do you feel? Is your tension gone? He said, yeah. After we punching the bag, I didn't tell him until after. He He said, yeah, I imagine that judge and I just hit that bag. I said, that's right, tension gone. I said, you charge people, how much you charge? $5,000. Or at that time, $2,000, $3,000 to help reduce stress. And you hypnotize folks, right? I said, why when we went there before, I didn't get hypnotized. Me and Diamond didn't get hypnotized at all. He said, because you didn't want to be hypnotized. I said, what about the guy up front? That boy, as soon as you start talking, he was out, mouth wide open. He said he wanted to be hypnotized. He wanted to be hypnotized. So just think of a staircase. It has a sign that says down. It's a velvet staircase, and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper, and you come to another door, and it says down, and you're going deeper and deeper. I said, man, this is bull crap. He said, no, but here's what happens now. When you get to a certain level, then that's what they do. They pay for that. White folks pay a lot for it. Then they suggest to you, you want to lose weight. Now you see yourself. You're thin as a razor. You're just as skinny as you can be. And you see yourself as skinny. And now that you see yourself as skinny, you're ready to become that thing. Now, wake up. And the guy wake up, and they don't want to eat nothing, and all that stuff. But my theory was activity. I said, you ever see guys go to board, and they come back, and they lay down on the bunk, and they sad and everything? I said, no. When you go to board and get shot down, you get out and run the track, run around, go left hand, do something. You know what I mean? And your depression goes away. Physical activity. It puts you in control. Now the thing about physical fitness program, not only what it does physically, according to their recent studies, says 65% of Americans are overweight and 31% are obese. It looks like that too, I think. 65% of Americans is obese. This could be, is overweight. 31% is obese. But now, to relieve stress, I studied stress very serious in about 82 and 83. I studied everything on stress. Why? Because the white man was trying to stress me out. That's what he was doing. He had guys like come from out of town, the whole crew. Ali Abdul-Malik, not ours, but another one. They come from Baitul-Din. It's a long story. Y'all might not have heard of Fadl Hayri. Anyway, it's Baitul-Din, Blanco, Texas. That was one of the biggest going concerns at that time. And he was an Iraqi sheikh, and I asked Ali. So when they wanted to knock us out the box, the sheikh was from Iraq, and technically he was a Shia, because I asked, what's the name? I said, what's your sheikh? He said, he's a Sufi, Sunni, Shia sheikh. I said, that's like locking dice. You can throw them out each hand. He's a Sufi, Sunni, Shia sheikh. I said, that's good. And that's the way they acted. Anything they see, us and the Iranians were working well together. The government wanted to break that up. So they brought a whole crew of families and everything to Oakland. This is 82. And they start going around. Now imagine now, this is the early days of Islam out there. They got little kids can recite long ayats of Quran, all that, they'd have been the abdul-alim. Now, the government said we need these guys to go and break up their love affair with Iranians. Iranians are coming to their masjid, so they send them. They send another guy with a crew, Suleiman, on the other side of town. And they have all the snitches in our masjid. So they want to manage and divide and control everything. So remember, I'm opening the masjid. Even in the early days, they done ran all of my friends away. Because, man, most of all of my friends are involved in this thing, and so whatever they do to them, they scare them away. So the only guys that I'm seeing right there all the time is these people that they send. Of course, I know what's going on, but in the first, that's 35, 36, 7 years ago, that's not like now. You're not as developed. You may be ahead of everybody else, but you're not as developed. So this stress stuff, all these talent tales and stuff, it makes you mad. So everything that they would do to me, I would study it. Like, oh, it's like a war, you know, what they're trying to produce. Stress. So I studied stress, no more stress. But you know one of the best things about stress management was at that time I was running in hills and lifting iron, running in hills with sweat gear on, running between 6 and 10 miles a day in the hills, real hills. You're running in a natural environment. You know, this is regional parks that are over 100 years old, and it's everything up there, deer, coyotes, everything that you can imagine. And this is some of the things you would see. In the name of Allah, most gracious and most merciful, He sends down water from the skies, and the channels flow each according to the measure. But the torrent bears away the foam that mounts up to the surface. Even so, from that ore, which they heat in the fire to make ornaments or utensils therewith, there is a scum likewise. But it goes on. But the part is that you're running in the mountains and the hills, and it's good rain, and guess what? You see each little stream. Somewhere, this crevice is a small stream.